Hey, BCOT247 students, Mr.D set, week number 7 here in our business communications course at Cerritos College, fall 2022. Just wanted to give you a brief review of what we covered last week, as well as to give you a preview of what we're going to be working on this week. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and here I am on our course homepage. Of course, we are in module number 3 now, starting this week. So we're getting close to being in the halfway part of the course. And last week, you guys did your resume. You had quite a heavy week last week. You had your resume, a cover letter, a quiz, a couple of short homework assignments, and then you had your second exam. So hopefully you were able to complete that. The exams are only 25 questions, and they're only worth 50 points. But those were all that you had last week. I assumed that most of you had a resume already written, so I was just looking for you to modify that and update it to a specific job, as well as to make sure you utilize what we talked about with the resumes in the class. And then your application letter or your cover letter. We haven't actually talked about formatting letters yet, so I'm probably not going to grade you too harshly on those, although I might make some comments. But I'll be getting to grading those throughout the course of this week. As you know, I'm still also grading your individual presentations. I did grade about 15 of them, 15 to 20 of them last week, all in one class. So I think it was one of the classes I did all of the ones that students had viewed presentations of others and commented on them. So basically, remember, I'll grade yours once you've commented on 2 other students' presentations. By the way, your comments need to be at least 50 words. So if you give me a sentence that's 12 words, it's not considered a comment in my mind, so I'm not going to grade your document or your presentation. So make sure that you go back and do more substantial comments on other students' presentations. But I will continue to do anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen every couple of days throughout the next week. So I'll be doing those along with your writing assignment, your resume, and your cover letter. So keep hopefully you got all that in, and keep up the good work. So that's the last week. As we move into this week now, week number 7, we have again another check-in assignment on chapter 5. Then you have a PowerPoint on chapter 5. And I believe chapter 5 is where we're getting into kind of like the routine business messages, creating effective business messages. So the last few chapters we've been looking at the various methods of writing. So we did the planning, drafting, and then reviewing or revising. And now we're actually getting into writing different kinds of documents. So remember, this class is about a little bit more than half is business writing. And that's kind of where we're at now in this course. So every week you'll be writing a business document, whether that be a letter, a memo, or an email. And so this week, I believe your writing assignment is going to be reformatting a letter or a memo. So what I would encourage you to do is to follow the instructions on this assignment, and to go ahead and look up the various sections here. I mentioned that there's some documents here that you can download, and then you're going to be reformatting them as a letter or a memo, depending on what they are. And in your homework, let's see, I think, where did I talk about this at? Hold on just a second. I thought I had done a assignment on this, but anyway, I will update this because there's sections in your book right here. I'm sorry. It says the content, did you format it properly like a letter or memo? So you need to go to Appendix B in your textbook, and there is a sample there of a memo, and there's a sample there of a letter. So make sure you copy those exactly as they are. Follow the margins. And then if you look here, I'm going to be also grading you on readability. Now, what is readability? Many of you answered these questions in your check-in assignment last week. But readability is things like using headings, using short paragraphs separated by white space, using bullet lists, using bold text. See, the difference between business writing and writing an essay, like in your English class, is your essay was usually double-spaced. You had an indent in the first line, and it was all one long paragraph till you had a new thought, then you'd create a new paragraph. Well, business writing isn't that way. Business writing is meant to be little chunks. They call it chunking. Little chunks of information that people can read and then move to the next chunk and move to the next chunk. And that's only accomplished by short paragraphs. It makes it even better when you use a bullet list, because then they can scan the bullet list. It's even better when you have a heading describing what's in the next paragraph. And even better when you bold certain words or bold certain phrases or use all caps. So in business writing, you should use all those elements of design for readability. And that's what your book calls it. That's why I encourage you to make sure you review that section in chapter 6 on improving ease of reading through navigational design. And that's using headings, bullet lists. That's business writing from the way it looks. And that helps your audience to be able to scan your document and read it much more quickly and efficiently than having to read a long paragraph or essay. So that's the goal of business writing. Make sure you apply all of that to your business documents. And so that is your work this week. So your writing assignment is actually just reformatting a memo and reformatting a letter. And you're going to be doing that by taking the samples that I've given you. So right here, let me see if I can preview it. Yeah. So I give you a preview of, and it's really just going to be a box of information that you need to then format into a letter or format into a memo. It's actually both. So writing assignment number 2 here is, this is a memo. So here's all the information about the memo. So you need to format it like a memo and then lay it out by using navigational design. You don't have to edit anything. You don't have to take anything out, just moving it around. And then the same thing with a letter. A letter, you want to have a return address or letterhead. You want to have an inside address. You want to have a salutation with a colon at the end. You're going to want to have a signature block at the end with the name and title of the person who wrote the letter, with a place for them to sign their name. By the way, memos don't have any signature block, just the initials of the author. So you can read through all this, and you're going to reformat this information here as a letter and this information here as a memo. And that is your writing assignment for this week coming up. All right, so that's it. I also, again, have a quiz on the chapter that we're covering, but that's pretty standard. So have a great week, everybody. And if you have any questions or issues, please don't hesitate